Now in example 2, a little bit more of the information given is different again, and it's not exactly what I need in order to use my process. However, I'm going to use the information that is given and find the basic information that I need. So I've said here, sometimes the information given about the parabola is insufficient to easily calculate the focal length. Now, easily calculated is when obviously you're given the directrix and the focus, and in your diagram you can see from your diagram what that is. So that straightforward information is not given, but that is ultimately what we need. How are we going to get it? Well, obviously they're going to give us some other information that we're going to process and break down to enable me to determine which equation I want and the focal length, because that's basically all you need. Which equation and what's the focal length? We've got one of 4 equations that we could choose from, and the focal length is the focal length. We've got to be able to find it somehow. Saying in this case it will be necessary to start with the general form for the parabola. Basically, we've got to decide which one of those basic forms we want. Substitute maybe some given information so you can produce an equation and then ultimately to find A. Well, we know that we need to find A because, like I said, there's only really 2 things you've got to do. 1, decide which equation, and 2, find the value of A. Okay, so let's have a look at this. It says find the equation of the parabola with coordinates of the vertex at 0, 0. Well, that's good. That tells us it's going to be one of these basic. X squared is 4ay, or y squared is 4ax. And the equation of the axis. Well, we haven't had that before, but I think we've got an understanding, or we should have an understanding of what the axis of the parabola actually is. And that axis is at x is equal to 0. So again, we've got to be able to interpret where that is. Where is x equal to 0? And also we know that our parabola passes through this point. So there's a lot of different information here given. However, don't lose sight of what it is we want. There's only 2 things we want. Determine the equation, find the value of A. Let's go back to our basic instruction of let's draw the graph. Let's see how much of a visual understanding we can get. So the parabola with the vertex at 0, 0. Well, that's great, but there's any one of 4 parabolas that basically I could choose the equations that have their vertex at 0, 0. The equation of the axis, and that is the axis of symmetry, the axis is the middle, and it will be sometimes just referred to as the axis, is x is equal to 0. So hopefully we all know x is equal to 0 is the y-axis. So it means that this is the middle of the parabola. So at least that's reduced to 2 options, the way the parabola could be. It now either has to be a parabola going that way or a parabola going that way. Okay, hopefully this next piece of information will enable us to find out which one of those it'll be. It passes through the point -8, 2. So I'm just assuming this is -8 and this is 2, and it goes through that point. So a parabola that will go through that point, have its vertex here, so it also goes through this point, has this as its axis, must be a parabola of this shape. I have no other choice. Can't be an upside down parabola. Obviously wouldn't go through -8 and 2. So I have to just start with that. But what I have established, and think about what you've established. You've established which one of those standard equations you want. You want x squared is 4ay. That's the parabola up the right way, and it's a positive up the right way parabola. Vertex, the origin. Now, clearly they've given us this information about this point minus 8, to use in some way. What do we know is our task from this point? From this point, we've got to find A. We have to find A. But the thing that I do know is that if this parabola passes through this point, then we're back to some really basic understanding. If any function passes through a point, those ordinates in the point satisfy the equation. Now, this is something you've been doing since you first looked at straight lines. So it's a basic understanding of a concept that you've hopefully been aware of for a long time. It's not new. It's not a new concept. It's maybe not something that you've constantly had to draw on as part of your understanding of what's going on, but that just means then it's something that maybe you need to write it down. If a function or if a graph passes through a point, the coordinates of the point satisfy the equation. Write that down. Learn that for yourself. Know that then. You never know where it's going to turn up, that you're going to have that understanding. You certainly do here now. So I'm going to sub those values into here because remember, I'm trying to find A. I want an equation just about A. So minus 8 squared is 64. 4A and Y is 2. So I've got 64 is equal to 8A. I've got A is equal to 8. Therefore, our equation will be x squared is 4A. 4 8s are 32. Y. Done. I'll stop the video and do the next example in another video.